Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to It's Rainmaking Time. This is Kim Greenhouse. It gives me great pleasure to welcome a hyper-activist. Welcome, Carol Brouillet, to It's Rainmaking Time. She is the co-founder of the International Media Project, which produces Making Contact, a half-hour radio program now heard in over 200 stations in the United States and Canada. She also helped found the Who's Counting Project, which promoted the film Who's Counting, Marilyn Waring on sex, lies, and global economics. And in December of 2002, she helped found the Northern California 9/11 Truth Alliance. Pretty much anything she touches happens. She is brilliant and creative. She's dedicated. She's multifaceted. She's not your typical activist. And what I mean by that is she's grounded in love. It's not that her energy is against things. She's actually for things. She is a part of a team of people that developed the Deception and Conception Dollar at deceptiondollar.com, taking part of activism in a way that is creative and gets the message out. We can learn a lot from her. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Carol Brouillet to It's Rainmaking Time. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you, Kim, for inviting me and for your outstanding work.
Thank you so much. You've done so much work. You remind me of a modern-day Anita Roddick, but your full-time job is activism, isn't it?
Well, I became an activist in 1992, and at the time I had 2 kids and I was pregnant. So I've always had to balance being a mom with being an activist. I mean, the activism, it's just something that I can't resist doing. And I love my kids. And I wanted to be a good mom. In fact, I remember asking the kids when they were about 5, well, I think I could be a great mom or I could save the world. What do you think I should do? And of course the kids said, oh, do both, Mom. So
aren't the kids smart? The kids are so smart.
Right. But it's been a challenge because especially trying to change the monetary system and championing 9/11 truth, those are really lifelong endeavors. And I've tried to do not just the kids, but also take on some really huge, big global issues. And sometimes it feels like I'm carrying the whole world on my shoulders, but I know I'm not. And it's great to see social movements grow and evolve and pull one another along. And one of my mentors was Bill Moyer, who wrote a book called Doing Democracy: The 8 Stages of Social Movements. And he really maps out how social movements work and what you need to do at the various stages and how to be an effective activist. And I've followed his charts and suggestions for the social movements that I've been championing. And he also has participated in them. He came with us when we marched on Feinstein's office to demand the congressional investigation of 9/11 back in January 2002. And at the time, I was passing out the worksheets to everyone saying, oh, look, we're at stage 1 where people don't know there's a problem. And it's not going to happen overnight. Because sometimes social movements, they take 50 years to ripen and to accomplish what they set out to do. It's not an easy process, and you have to have a bit of patience and be persistent and understand, the different stages and how to help other social movements and realize that, we're not competing. Like right now, if we want to save the planet, we want to save the water and the air and the land and the seeds. There's so many things.
They're all important.
Right. So we want to help other activists, even if they're not working on our issue, they're doing the work we can't do. So I think being able to see the connection and empower all activists is very important.
Do you think that there will be a way to measure the years of work that you and others have done to affect a visible and concrete change? How do you, as a hyper-activist and the person that you are, how do you look to see what's working and what's not?
That's a good question. I think a lot of it, it's immeasurable, and in some ways that's good. There's a wonderful story that inspired me about some people who were walking across a field in Findhorn, Scotland, and the sun was rising, and they suddenly noticed that the field next to them was an enormous spider web, just acres of all these interconnected spider webs. But it was invisible until the sun hit it at just the right angle, and you could see the beads of moisture on the web, and they just glowed and were gorgeous and glistening in the morning sunlight. And I think that's the way activism is too. It's those networks of love, trust, cooperation, which aren't measurable, which aren't visible, but those are the most powerful things. In fact, there's an old African proverb about, it takes many spiders to bring down an elephant, but spiders' webs could actually contain an elephant. And so I think that's what we have to nurture, is that love, that trust, that cooperation, to rein in the rampaging elephants that are causing so much damage and wreaking such havoc on the planet. And in some ways, it's like our real only choice too. I think you recognize this, and I recognize this, that the forces of empire and tyranny, they rely on war, fear, deception, and the forces of trying to save the planet rely on love, cooperation, truth. And that's what we have. And I think those forces are greater than the other ones. In fact, the other ones sort of betray a sort of psychopathic, disconnected, tortured human being, or maybe not even a human being, who knows. But that's what needs to be exposed, and we also just have to encourage one another so that we can expose the lies and the myths and reorganize society and our systems so that they serve life and they don't oppress and tyrannize and destroy life.
I have a question that has always kind of haunted me, and it's in the realm of the impacts of activism, which, by the way, I love your example of many spider webs bringing down the elephant, and we love the elephants here, but I know what you mean. But one of the things that I often wonder is exposure, the realm of exposure, enough to bring down the multifaceted elephants in different industries that are wreaking havoc with civilization, the planet, the plant, animal, and mineral kingdom?
Well, one of my favorite activists is Starhawk. I'm sure you're probably familiar with her work, but she talks about magic and how to shift consciousness, and how we have to sort of tune in to the largest possible picture, and that if we stay focused on the narrow, limited, defined, politically correct versions of reality, we're stuck, we're trapped. And if we expand our consciousness to embrace all of life, the much larger dimensions, then we can maybe, tune into it and help shift consciousness. And I think that, truth is part of that. And if everybody is told, you have to walk this way within these very narrow, this is the only way you can change things, and you have such a limited view, then you are trapped and you are hopeless, and there is no possibility of change. But when you realize that reality is wider and deeper, and there's more possibilities, then you can sometimes figure out solutions outside of the box, and help people to see that. I mean, one of the reasons I've taken on the issues that I've taken on is before I became an activist, I did public relations, and I was successful at getting out stories on television, radio, newspapers, magazines. And when I realized, oh my God, the most important critical issues, nobody knows anything about them. These have to reach the public before